My focus is here in the temperate regions of the world. So my name's George Locascio. I'm a professor here at Framingham State University. I teach the botanical classes on campus currently. Mario is a friend of mine. We've known each other for quite some time. And I have convinced him. Sometimes I wonder how I convinced him to come here and give a couple of chats with us. So this version of Mario's talk is in English. The next one at 4:30, similar talk, but it's going to be in Spanish. So please come back and view that if you have the time. That would be amazing. We would love to see you here. And yeah, I think in lieu of the time, I'm going to hand it over to Mario. So Mario, thank you so much for coming here today to talk to our community about what you do for and with Thrive Natural Care. So Mario, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Kind regards from Costa Rica. I was a little stressed out that I wasn't able to join in, but so finally we're here. So I would like to share my screen so we can start with this presentation right here. Okay, so can you guys see the screen? Yeah, perfect. So I just want to talk to you today a little bit about what we do in Thrive on this event of Science on the Street Planet Earth edition. Thrive Natural Care is a regenerative business that through regenerative agriculture is doing responsible products. So I would like to start by quoting you with this, which is a nice quote. So becoming more efficient at doing the wrong thing is not the same as doing the right thing. And having said that, I would like to show you this. Let me do this. I would like to show you these images where we're basically nowadays doing open sky minery, logging, planting food, fishing, but we believe that we're not doing it the right way. So we in Thrive want to give you a little example of how we do things in Costa Rica, how we do things in the US in order to do the right thing, what we believe is the right thing, and allow a better use of the natural resources. This is where we're located. You guys can see Costa Rica right here, a small country in Central America of only 51,000 square kilometers, about 4 million people. We are about the size of the state of Virginia in the United States. So you can picture that. And luckily, because we are in the tropics, we are in the equator, and we have 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness, and we have lots of rain. We have about 4% of the biodiversity of the whole planet. So, and actually where I met George many years ago, it was in the most biologically intense place on planet Earth, which is called Corcovado in the Osa Peninsula of Costa Rica, right in the corner around here, close to Panama. That's where we met, and we look for really crazy plants. So right here, this is how one of our forests look like. And in order for me to give you the perspective of what regenerative agriculture is, I would like for you to take a look at this picture. So this is a nice picture that shows a lot of green, but we believe perhaps that this place is full of harmony. And in reality, there is a war going on in there, in that picture. There's a chemical war in between plants and insects and animals, right? There's a lot of balance, but there's no harmony with it. So what happens in this forest is that these plants, they just get the right amount of nutrients directly from what the forest provides. And then the plants invest a lot of energy into creating chemical weapons that will protect the leaves. Why? Because the leaves is what the plants use to absorb the sunlight and produce their food. And plants do not want the leaves to be eaten, believe me. So with regenerative agriculture, we try to assimilate, we try to copy this process of the plants. In that way, they boost their chemical properties, and we humans can use that to our advantage. So right here, this is the skincare product line of super plants that Thrive produces. And I just wanted to show you this picture so you get to see that this is the engine that pushes us forward, that we sell these products that are made responsibly, and then we, with some of the earnings we make, we manage to do regenerative agriculture in Costa Rica. So as you can see, the products are plant-based, they support regenerative agriculture, they're not tested in animals, they're vegan, they're made in the US. One of the important things is that they're reef safe, they don't promote bleaching, there are no nano, and there's no synthetics or bad ingredients in them. Having said that, I would like to talk to you a little bit how we're doing things and who we are. So we are a young company. Thrive, it's only 6 or 7 years, and it's formed by a team of entrepreneurs and ecologists from the US and Costa Rica, and rural farmers from Costa Rica. This is part of the crew, and these are the 2 plants we work with. We try to produce highly potent super plants that are much better than synthetics, and that right now are only used by Thrive. And we produce these plants using a regenerative farming model. Right here, you can clearly see in this picture down on the left bottom, the difference in between a conventional farm and a regenerative farm. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to assimilate, we're trying to copy a forest where the plants can grow and they can develop more of those chemical compounds that we are using to bottle them up into these products, right? That at the end of the day, we want our customers to have a faster skin recovery, a healthier looking skin, and then everybody will be happier, right? So these are the 2 main plants that we work with. One of them is called Fierrillo, the other one is Juanilama. For those of you that are into botany, Fierrillo is a Bignoniaceae, in the same family as the catalpa tree that you guys have there. Juanilama is a Verbenaceae, same family as the verbena or verbane. Both of them are widely used by Costa Ricans for their medicinal properties. Potent anti-inflammatories, they have antioxidants. Of course, the potency of those plants is boosted by the regenerative techniques that I will talk to you more about in a few minutes. And right now, they're unique to Thrive products. So there's no other skincare product with these ingredients in the market. And as I was telling you a little earlier, we want our formulas to be proven effective. And with regenerative farming, we have been able to prove that, yes, those chemical compounds end up increasing once the plants are a little bit more stressed out, if we can say it that way. Okay, and I will tell you more about that in a minute. This is part of what we have in our farms, and you can see how the farms don't look like anything conventional. This looks like a mess, something disorganized. You can see it right here. So this is the Fierrillo, the plant on the right, and this one, the one that this man is holding. I will talk to you about this man in a minute. This farm is formed by these palms, which is the main crop that they grow, and this palm is called peach palm. And then in between the peach palm plantation, this farmer decided to plant Fierrillo. The name of the farmer is Don Juan. Don Juan is one of our main farmers in the province of Limon in the Caribbean of Costa Rica. Right here, you can see Don Juan with his grandson, Abner. And right here, we can see several techniques of regenerative farming. So I'm gonna talk to you about some of them and some of the things that we try to push as a regenerative business. So Don Juan is holding the vine that we target as a species for our ingredients. And then next to the vine, there's a tree called Erythrina that we plant there because the tree fixes nitrogen from the environment into the soil, okay? So right here, right at the bottom, you can see this plant, which they usually cut and they just throw there and let it decompose because that plant helps fix phosphorus into the soil, right? Then we have other associated species that will end up attracting pollinators, that will end up attracting other insects that could be harmful to our plants. Another good thing is that all of the soil in our farms is covered by vegetation or even dead organic matter, but there's no naked soils So we promote the retention of humidity in our soils. Something really, really visible right here is these piles of organic matter that farmers usually collect, and they put a lot of piles all over the property, which then are sprayed with biol, which is a broth made out of living microorganisms. And then this biol will end up decomposing this pile of organic matter, incorporating more nutrients into the soil. And right here, something really, really important that we like to emphasize is that we try to reduce the generational gap in between our farmers. So right now in Costa Rica and many places of the world, it happens that young people don't want to farm the land anymore. We see farming as a not very important activity. And we're trying to reduce that. So right here, Abner is learning some of the techniques from his grandfather. Abner wants to go to university. He wants to be a graduate student on agricultural techniques, especially on organic agriculture. That's what he says. And then he wants to manage his farm, his grandfather's farm, and continue with that legacy. So that's something we're trying to encourage right here. You can see right here, this is a very nice agroforestry system where you have trees, in this case, the palms, mixed with the crop of Fierrillo that's the one Thrive is using. If we go to the next slide, we have Julio, which is another farmer. He's part of the women-led co-op that I will mention more about that in a minute. And you can see the plant right here, it's a little bit different because this plant needs open sun to grow and survive. It cannot be mixed with tall trees that produce a lot of shade. But if you see on the back of this picture on the left, there's a whole forest around it, okay? And that forest brings a lot of ecosystemic benefits. You know, pollinators, is a trap for harmful insects. It provides a lot of organic matter that can be applied next to those plants. The soils, as you can see, again, are covered. They're not naked. They usually use a weed whacker just to cut the grass to control it instead of using herbicides. And right here, Julio is mulching some of those herbs around the Juan y Lama plants just to provide more humidity and make them look healthier. Right here, this is part of the biodiversity that we find in our farms. This is a two-toed sloth that moves around all of the corridor of the forest around the Juan y Lama plantation. Right here on the left, you have a poison dart frog, which is a very nice indicator. You know, frogs are usually in healthy ecosystems. Frogs will not be around with their pesticides or herbicides. And this is an aerial picture of one of the plantations of Juan y Lama that is mixed with cocoa trees, you know, to produce chocolate. So in this case, the Juan y Lama benefits from the cocoa leaves that fall into the ground, introducing organic matter into the soil. Farmers benefit from the Juan y Lama harvest, and they benefit from the cocoa pods by selling them as well. Okay, one of the practices that we try to encourage also as a regenerative business is food sovereignty, food security in our farms. So we don't want farms with just one specific plant. We want and we love farms that have a lot of food available. In this case, you see Abner drinking coconut water. You see the same guy, Abner, with a lot of annatto seeds, which is a spice, as a food coloring. Right here, we see Julio with the cocoa bean pod, giving away some chocolate before it is processed into chocolate. So these farms, they have food available throughout all year round. And then whatever is an excess on their production, they give it away to the local school in the community they are located at. Okay, another practice that we encourage as a regen business is that we need to stop seeing farmers as the main producers of raw material. So we don't want farmers to produce raw materials and sell the raw materials. That's why Thrive, we partnered with Julio and the women-led co-op, and we managed to get the funds to build a distillation unit like the one you're seeing here on the left. And with this distillation unit, what happens is that the farmers were trained, and with all of the knowledge they have about how to grow things and how to harvest things, now they are processing those leaves and turning them into essential oils that Thrive is buying directly from them. We are not buying just the leaves, but we're giving a value added to those plants, buying that essential oil. And then that has helped us improve the rural life of the farmers. That has helped the farmers get in touch with other companies that are interested in buying essential oils, and that has helped them get trained and teach us a little bit about the production of essential oils in their area. Okay, so now that I've been talking about the women-led co-op, I would like to show you this amazing woman. Her name is Giselle, and she's the president and main leader of this women-led co-op that is called COPECUNA. And COPECUNA stands for Pro-Women Cultivating Nature. Okay, so this is Giselle. Right here we have Sonia, and we have Julio, who's the main guy in the field. So this co-op benefits 25 families in a particular area where they are planting Juanilama, and they are processing Juanilama to the point where they get the essential oil. Everything, again, on a regenerative farming model, okay? And right here, I wanna ask you some of these questions. You know, one question I want for you guys to take the time to answer this question, and maybe I can get the help from yes, Suzanne. Thank you so much. So, what are 3 things that Thrive is striving to achieve with regen agriculture, right? So you can choose the one that you think is the more proper. You know, having talked about improvements in the biodiversity, improvements in the soil, improvements in the livelihood. So not seeing farmers as producers of raw materials. You know, all of these things. Maybe you can help us out and understand which one you think is the right. Look at you guys, amazing. You see? So yes, so you guys picked D. I'm really happy about that. That's exactly what Thrive is looking for. You know, with regen agriculture, we want those 3 things to happen. We want to improve the soil and the biodiversity, and improve the farmers' livelihoods, because those are the 3 main pillars that we're sitting on. In Thrive, we truly believe that by improving the soil and the biodiversity and the farmers' livelihoods, we are doing the right thing right there, okay? So I'm gonna continue to the next one, to the next slide. Let's see, how do I do this? Okay, so by just sharing that, you know, we need to evaluate the system and see it as an integral part of the ecosystem. And the ecosystem, the way we perceive it, has 5 main cycles. And those 5 cycles are the soil and mineral, solar and energy, the water cycle, the dynamic ecosystem, and of course, you know, the human and social aspect. If we evaluate the system as a whole, as an integral part of these 5 cycles, then we are making sure we're understanding where things are happening good and where things are not happening good. So just to give you an example, if the water cycle in this case is not stable, the solar and energy cycle will not function properly. Why? Because the water cycle will assure us that there's humidity retained in the soil and there's plants growing right in the soil. If there's plant growing, those plants will absorb the solar energy, fix it in the form of carbon into the soil, fixing the soil and mineral cycle, and then allowing the plants to grow more. But if you see the system with just one of these cycles, then maybe you're gonna end up getting wrong results. I'm going to go back 2 slides and right here, just to show you, for example, in a conventional farm like this one, you might end up applying chemical amendments to the soil. So let's say you buy a bag of chemical nutrients and you apply the nutrients all over this place, and then you make a soil test. And yes, the soil is going to end up testing good, you know, in good health and good quality to grow things. But once you evaluate the water cycle, you realize that there's barely any humidity retained in this soil. Once you evaluate the solar cycle, you end up realizing that there's very little carbon retained in the soil, and most of them is escaping. And even once you evaluate the human aspect, you know, if we want to see it in a more holistic and spiritual way, which place do you think that humans would prefer to work at? You know, in a conventional farm or in a regenerative farm? Conventional farm growing just one crop, a monocrop, or a regen farm where you have food availability, where you have green, where you have shades, where you have biodiversity, where you have more peace. So that's why for us it's really important to focus our system, our whole system, into these 5 cycles. So we have a system of metrics that allows us to monitor each of these cycles and see what things need to be fixed. For example, if the water retention is not enough, then that means that we need to plant more ground cover plants. If the carbon is very low, if the carbon fixed in the soil is very low, then that means that we need to plant more trees and other shrubs and associated species. If the soil and mineral cycle is low, that means that we need to apply more organic matter or more organic fertilizers. And therefore, that's why we truly believe that this is the right way for us to measure what's happening in our system. Okay, this is part of the team. This is part of the women in the co-op, some of their husbands. Right here is Doña Giselle, who's the president of the co-op. Here is Alex McIntosh, who's the founder of the company with the great vision of doing a regenerative business that inspire other business to do this. We know for a fact that we are not inventing this business model. There are many other companies doing it, but we are following a path that we think is the right path to follow. And right here we have this young lady here. Her name is Laura. She's an amazing entrepreneur, an amazing woman, and she's the one with the magic behind all of Thrive products, because she's the main formulator of Thrive products. And right here, I like to show this picture and talk a little bit about Laura, because Laura is not the conventional formulator. Laura likes to be shoulder to shoulder with the farmers, exploring their needs, their challenges, which are our needs and our challenges as well. And then we end up loving more what we do and the way we do it, okay? So this is how one of the farms looked in 2013 and how this farm looks today. So in 2013, when we first started with Don Juan, this is Don Juan's farm, he used to spray herbicides in his farm, which was cheaper, you know, and faster for him to maintain all of those crazy weeds that grow very fast in Costa Rica. So when we started, we decided to talk to Don Juan, and we told Don Juan that we would rent about 2,500 square meters, that's about 0.8 acres, from his farm. We would pay a monthly fee, and that we were going to plant our plants, but he would have to not spray any herbicides, pesticides, or add any chemical amendments to that plot of land that we were renting. Don Juan agreed to do so. And about after a year, one day I came with Alex, who's the founder, to his farm, and we saw all of the farm completely green. And we were shocked and surprised to see that. So Don Juan took the initiative and decided to start treating his land differently, because in the plot that we had rented from him, where he was not spraying any herbicides, he was seeing butterflies, he was seeing birds, Everything was green. He was in flowers. And then in the rest of the property, everything looked sort of like this. Some of the banana plants and the peach palms were good, but the rest of the herbs were pretty much dead. So he decided to start using a weed whacker and quit using herbicides. His productivity increased. He had more peach palms that he could sell. He had more butterflies and more birds coming into his farm. And then that's not the end of the story. What happened is, like, farmers around the area where Don Juan lives, they saw what was happening into Don Juan's farm. And they came to us, what are you doing? What's different here? So he told them what he was doing. And now Don Juan and Gabriel, his son, they are in charge of managing about 60 hectares of land within that area in a regenerative way. And I know, 60 hectares, I think is about 120 acres, maybe less. It's not really representative, but for us, it's something really good because that's where the change begins. If we want to create a change, starting small is not bad, right? So these are some of the impacts that we have had over the years. So we have managed to increase our regenerative garden by 10 times. We have managed to get the monthly yield plan by 2 times. So we know now when to harvest, when the plant is going to stop increasing that yield, that's when we harvest. The soil health indicators have grown and they're much healthier. The livelihood, the household income in farmers has increased 123%. We have gone from 30 people impacted to 153 in 2019 and 2020. So those are just some of the positive things that we have managed to get. Yes, there has been many challenges, and not everything has been perfect. We have to fulfill and overcome a lot of difficult processes in between us all together as a team. But the journey has been amazing. So, and I'm going to show you this picture. So again, I want to emphasize in the fact that all of these that we do with these farmers, it is possible because we have a product. So we are a company, therefore we need to be profitable. And the part of the responsibility within our company tells us that we need to invest some of that money by doing regenerative agriculture, by improving the livelihood of the farmers, by improving the soil, and by improving the biodiversity. So it is very important that we get that. So right here is where I encourage you guys to become responsible consumers. I know you are responsible consumers, but take the time to look for products that are made by responsible companies. Read the labels. You guys have the right to know where your money is going. You have the right to know where you want to invest. And we are not the only company that is doing responsible products nowadays. There are many companies. Some of them could be cheaper, some of them more expensive. But if we take the time to read and truly find out what are the impacts of those companies, then we have the power to change whatever we want to change. And there are giants out there, and there are small companies out there, and there are many of them that are doing the right thing. So this is our mission, to help people look and live healthier, and to inspire business and society to live things better than we found them. And of course, our values are to make the best body care products in the market, leave people and places healthier than we found them through regenerative practices. And yes, we do want to do things differently and have fun along the way. So, I'm going to give you my perspective about this question. Can regenerative agriculture save our planet? And this is just my perspective. And I want to share it with you on a very personal level. So in my case, I truly believe that regenerative agriculture cannot save our planet, And the reason of why I say that it cannot save our planet is because our planet doesn't need to be saved from anything, right? What happens is that we humans, we have such a big and huge ego that we truly believe that we can destroy or save a planet that has been able to live without us for millions and millions and millions of years. So we are just part of this planet. If the planet wants to get rid of us, it can do it in no time, right? But truly, we don't need to save our planet. What we need to save with regenerative agriculture is our own species. We need to save the human being species from disappearing. And simple, to me, it's so simple like that. The planet will end up surviving if we disappear. Yeah, we might break down all of the jungles and burn everything down, but the planet, I tell you, it's gonna thrive again, and it's going to produce a lot of plants and flowers and animals. Other species will colonize, and it will recover again, and it will be beautiful and strong. And the planet will get destroyed when the planet wants, but not when we human beings want. So that's just part of the perspective I wanted to share with you guys. And if you guys want to learn more about Thrive, you can contact Alex McIntosh, who's the founder, or Brandon Booth, who's the co-founder of the company. You can look for us and read more about us on our webpage, thrive.co. That's where you can find us, or .co, and you can learn more about us. So I don't know if you guys have any questions. We can go ahead to the Q&A part, and I'm very, very happy to be here with you.
Oh, Mario, thank you very much. That was amazing, buddy. Love hearing about what you guys are doing down there, and we do have some questions. And yeah, I just want to add that, yeah, how you ended that was perfect, where the Earth is here. We are just part of the system.
Indeed.
And excellent. So I can't thank you enough for that. That was amazing. And so as of right now, we have 2 questions in the Q&A box. So everybody, please feel free to add a question. This is why we're here. We'd love to answer these questions. We have an ecological one and then an economical one. I'll do the ecological one first. So we have, what do you use to cover the ground with your plants so that the garden is not, in quotes, naked? So what do you use a ground cover?
Yes, well, we try to use native species. You know, we have some plants within the family of coffee that are very, very adaptable and fast-growing species, and not only fast-growing and adaptable, but also resistant, because we have to know that people will step on those plants while they harvest, while they walk around, and we want a species that don't grow too much. It is hard, it is not easy, because we have to remove some of the invasive species, like species in the family of the cypers that are very, very aggressive. But it is possible. So whatever you have available, you know, to cover the soil is what you need to use. There's not a magic formula to do regenerative agriculture or to do agroecology. But as long as the soils are not completely naked, whether you cover them with dead leaves or whether you cover those soils with grass, they're gonna be much better than naked soils. We have to stop thinking that other plants will be competing, you know, against our main crop. You know, those other plants are gonna help retain the water. They're gonna help fix carbon into the soil that is gonna be transmitted in the plants. So yeah, what we use is basically native species that are common to each area where we have our plantations.
Excellent.
I hope that answered your question. Yeah.
Yep, that did. Okay, and so we have another question, and it looks like, okay, so we have a question from Scott Benjamin from Bunker Hill Community College, someone that you know.
Hey,
and
Scott.
So he says, great to see you again. And then he said, a while back before Thrive, you were working with a pharmaceutical company that used chemicals from a vine species, but the process/business didn't end up so great, maybe fell apart. Could you talk a little bit about why Thrive is working better compared to that past project? And then I'm curious about what makes a company like Thrive, well, thrive compared to other kind of sustainable regenerative practices. And yeah, So take it away.
Yes. So indeed, I was working with a Canadian company that was extracting some chemicals from a vine that were going to be used to treat anxiety. You know, unfortunately, there was many things that were not happening the right way within that company. One of the main ones, of course, was the marketing part. If you have a company that extracts something and that something is not being sold in the markets, you know, what ways can you make, in what ways can you make money to sustain that project? So that was one of the ways, you know, marketing part was not as strong. It was not as strong at all within the company. The company ended up breaking or being bankrupt. I don't know how you say it in English, but the company didn't work. On another level, the company was a little bit rushing to ask farmers to plant the vine, you know, and we did ask some farmers, and we learned from mistakes, but we asked farmers to plant some of those vines without having a market completely defined. And right there is where we have to be really careful. And that right there is where we in Thrive are extremely careful on not to ask people to plant things that we are not going to buy, right? Because people don't have to be with high hopes and high expectations from a company that isn't going to end up buying their products, right? So one of the main difference of why Thrive is thriving in this sense is that we are careful. We are working slowly our way up, being extremely cautious on the amount of farmers we want to incorporate. We are right now, after 7 years, on the process of incorporating an extra farm for an extra plant, you know, that is going to be put into our products. And that is the main difference, I would say. So we as a company have to be cautious by spreading the message. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so thanks for that question, Scott. Hopefully that did answer your question. Okay, so we have a couple more coming in. The next one we have, you mentioned how there are other companies / brands also doing similar work. Can you give some examples, and do you work closely with those other companies?
Yes, well, one of the examples that we work closely with is Patagonia, the brand of clothing. They do amazing things. You guys can search and read more about Patagonia. Another company that does things the same way, that is a great company too, and it's part of the competitive area with Thrive is Dr. Bronner's. You know, they do good things. And yes, definitely, we believe that working together with these companies will make a much better, will have a much better outcome for the customers, for what we truly believe is worth, and for the benefit of the regenerative agriculture. So those are just a couple of examples that I have right here in the top of my head, but I'm sure there's many others. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So we have we have a couple more questions. The next one, has there been any struggles competing with another company that has also been registered under the name Thrive? If you Google Thrive Cosmetics, another company will pop up instead. I had to search Thrive Costa Rica for it to show up.
Well, there has been obviously companies trying to use our name. I don't know, on a competing level. Yeah, we are taking care of some of those issues. If you guys look for Thrive Natural Care, that's where you're gonna find us. thrivenaturalcare.co. And yes, definitely there are some competition around us. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. And somebody actually just put the link to thrivenaturalcare.co in the chat.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much
Thank you,
for doing
Susan.
so.
Okay, the next question we have, in terms of disease and pest management, were there any periods where diversity, in addition to the plant's own adaptations were not enough. How did you approach these situations to stay consistent with organic and regenerative practices?
Yeah, so far in 7 years, we haven't had a major problem with pest or disease management in our plants. First, the Juan y Llama plant is extremely rich in essential oils, right? So therefore, whether you have a low concentration or a high concentration of the main metabolites, insects do not truly like that plant, right? And then Fierrillo has a lot of antioxidants, and it has a lot of a compound called crahudin. And the crahudin also inhibits the insects from coming. But, perhaps, without thinking about the plants individually, the arrangements that you do in your plantation since the very beginning have a huge impact. If you have plants planted since the very beginning around your target species, and plants that are tastier for insects, those insects are going to be attracted to those plants instead of going to your target species. So you will have traps of plant matter, live plant matter that will end up suiting all the needs of these pests that come to attack your plant. So yeah, so far we haven't had an issue with any of our plantations. Hopefully it's going to continue like that.
Excellent. Thank you, Mario. And I guess I just want to add on to that. And now, does Thrive and the farmers that work with Thrive, do you use like all plants from the same cuttings, or how do you like regrow new plants? And so are they genetically similar? Are they different? And could that be part of how they're a little bit more disease resistant?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. And that allows me to broaden the answer right here. So remember, these two plants we work with, they come from the wild, right? So we don't want to be an extractive company by extracting plants from the wild and just process them into essential oils or extracts. So therefore, we go into the wild, into different types of forests, looking for vines or for plants from cuttings that we can put into our plantations, increasing the genetic diversity within the same population of plants located in the same particular area. So it took us a while, to learn the domestication of the vine, mainly, because Juan y Llama, which is the other plant, was already studied and there was a lot of information about it. But of the vine, it took us a little while. There was only a couple of studies, and there's actually now 2 plantations, one in Costa Rica, which is ours, and there's another plantation in Brazil in a university where they're doing some studies as well there for another purpose, another cream that they want to put out into the market. But yes, the genetic diversity, very important, and that also allows to have more resistance to bugs and pests. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. And thanks for answering my question.
Yeah.
All right, we got a couple more coming in. So we have, hey Mario, thank you for such a great talk. My question is, what got you interested in agriculture? And then was there one specific topic that led you to being interested in learning more?
Yes, well, actually, I've been always interested in plants, and at the beginning, I tell you about 20 years ago, I was very interested in taxonomy, right? And I really wanted to learn about taxonomy and plant classification. But one day, when I was trying to learn this key for this specific family of plants, we were trying to create one, and it was very impossible. That led me to the question of, and what is the real point of identifying a plant, right? So I started thinking about that, and working with some of the most interesting people in the region of Tortuguero in the Caribbean of Costa Rica, collecting plants for taxonomic purposes, led me to work on an ethnobotany project, and then I started hearing about the uses that these people give to these plants, so we would pay these people, but I started wondering, how can we do to create a bigger impact in these people? right? And that led me to contact people at the university, learn about extraction of chemical things, chemical compounds with some of the chemists at the university. And that, exactly that is what led me to agriculture, because we had plants in the wild that couldn't be extracted from the wild. Why? Because it's not right? If you have, let's say you have the cure for a very common disease in the wild and you extract all of the plants, you end up destroying the rainforest. So if you can get that plant out of the wild and start domesticating it, that's when you see the value. Of course, people before domestication tried to synthesize, but that part of domestication is what led me into agriculture. It's what led me into learning about these processes, and yes, the need of the people in Costa Rica. Farmers are struggling, like I guess like everywhere in the planet. Farmers struggle a lot. We see them as producers of raw material, and that led me to find possibilities to train these farmers that are extremely capable of doing extra things to those plants to sell a more elaborated product. And that's one thing led me to another one. So that's where my interest is right now, where I can find ways to help farmers benefit from native species of plants that grow in our area.
All right, thanks, Mario. Okay, so another question, and it ties back into the vine that company was growing before. So do you think, so do you think that vine will gain like popularity and just population size, and the project can still thrive in mainstream consumerism? So with that vine.
Yeah, we're talking about the vine that Scott was mentioning earlier, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the vine to treat anxiety. Well, hopefully it will gain it will be more popular, in the near future. Right now, I know there is a company in Costa Rica called Soy Naturista trying to retake that process, but now they're trying to use that vine to treat anxiety in humans. Before, it was a vet product, it was a dog anxiety peel or vine, and now they're trying to use it for humans. So I hope that this new company, I know the people, I know the guy, so but I hope that they're going to benefit farmers as well, and they're going to be more cautious. We know each other, we don't work together, but we as a company are willing to share and inspire others with our business as well, with our model.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes, no problem.
All right. And so the next question we have you thought about expanding to other countries that are on the equator, such as Southeast Asia, such as Indonesia or Malaysia, for example?
Well, that's our biggest dream. I tell you that. Our dream is to expand and have a lot of regenerative business model companies or thrive small agencies, throughout the planet. Yes, definitely. And that's what we're aiming for. So if we want to work with plants that are from Southeast Asia, obviously we need to focus there, because there's no point for us to bring plants from Southeast Asia to be planted in Costa Rica and domesticated in Costa Rica when the plants are not native to here. Yes, definitely, that's a big yes.
Excellent, awesome. Okay, and so this is the last question that we have as of right now, but please, people, chime in more. We definitely have more time for Mario to answer your questions. But so this is something that you and I, Mario, talked about not too long ago. So it looks like Thrive products are sold on Amazon. What are your current distribution channels in addition to Amazon? And do you have a specific growth strategy in mind with new distribution channels?
Yes, well, I'm going to start backwards. With the growth strategy, I'm not the best person to talk about that, because that's not my field. I'm just working in the farms with the farmers and making sure all the sustainable supply happens. But definitely, our bosses, Alex or Brandon, can answer that questions because there is a growth strategy happening, and that's why we have been successful throughout these years. Our person in charge of the e-commerce part, his name is Cam Sawyer, so he can also help out talk about the distribution channels. But besides Amazon, I know that we work with Whole Foods, and I know we work through our webpage. And again, Alex and Brandon will be able to provide more information on this question. But yes, we do sell in Amazon, and that's our one of our main engines. And that is honestly what has been helping us move along forward, pushing us. And that's why we have a successful company now in Costa Rica. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Okay. The next one we have, is there an interest to investigate and explore formulations beyond the 2 plants that Thrive currently utilizes?
For sure. There's a big interest on that. And right now we're actually investigating the oil of a palm. In that way, we can start using that of a native species of palm to Costa Rica. We're also just finished an investigation of a plant that is already going to be introduced into our formulas. And Thrive is always in an evolutionary path. You know, we're always trying to find new things because that keeps us motivated, that help us grow, that help us understand many of the things we have in Costa Rica, and more important, that help us create bigger benefits to our farmers. Yeah.
Excellent. We have one more question. And so when addressing the mounds of organic matter on your farms, you discussed the farmers pouring a microorganism-rich liquid to encourage decomposition, which sounds familiar to Korean natural farming. Do you draw inspirations for agricultural practices from other cultures around the world?
Well, definitely. I don't know Korean natural farming, but definitely I'm going to talk to you about this biol. And this biol is a process where you collect microorganisms from the jungle, and you mix them with molasses and water, and you create a broth that is extremely rich in microorganisms. To be honest with you, I don't really know where the biols originated from, because I don't have the answer right now. But definitely we get the inspiration from indigenous communities, the way they manage their crops. We get the inspiration from other entrepreneurs, you know, that have been developing agroecological techniques. We get the inspiration from other companies that have been successful as well. And the idea is that we also inspire other companies, and we all understand that we are open to share the practices that we're doing in the field. So in that way, people can use that as well. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, thanks. And all of these questions have been amazing. I currently don't have any more in the Q&A box, but please, if anybody has any questions, that's why Mario and I are here. So fire away the questions, but currently we don't have any more for you, Mario. So if anybody has any more questions, please ask away. I just want to say thank you, of course, Mario, but yeah, we're here. We have the allotted time to chat. And it can go back and forth. So everyone, please feel free if you have any more questions.
Perfect. And those of you that I wasn't able to answer questions to, please feel free to contact Alex or Brandon and ask questions about the company. As I said, you know, as responsible consumers, we have the right to know some of the things that concern us, some of the things that we are doubting about. And we as a company, we're open to answer those questions. So definitely Thrive is an open-minded company. Okay.
Yeah. And what would be the best way if somebody has a question and they don't have it on the tip of their tongue right now? What's the best way to get in touch with you and Alex and Brendan?
Yes, well, through email is one of the best ways. You can, I don't know how to put my email in the chat, but you can put my email is mario@thrivenaturalcare.com.
We'll get that for
And
you.
yes, thank you. And Alex and Brandon emails is right here on this slide. If you guys wanna know more about how the formulation process goes, Laura, my really good friend, who's the who has the magic behind the Thrive product, she's also very willing to share information. Of course, there's some stuff that we cannot share because it's confidential, right? But there's always an open-minded setting right here.
Excellent. Thank you, buddy.
No problem.
All right. So we have one more question that came up in the chat. Do you have any advice for us here in the temperate regions of the world of Massachusetts on how we can transform our urban yards into more sustainable gardens?
Oh, yes, perfect. So, and thank you for that question, because that reminded me. If you guys can watch the documentary called Kiss the Ground, that it's in Netflix, that's a great documentary that gives us a lot of tips on what we can do in different parts of the world to turn gardens into more sustainable ones, right? But definitely one of the things that I encourage everyone to do is look for native vegetation and mix it with your crops. That is one of the easiest and most effective practices that you can do all along in order to have a sustainable and healthier environment around your home. And if you want to go a little farther, think of edible native vegetation as well, where you can have a garden of plants you're growing directly, but you also have native plants that will produce some food that you can have back home, and that is going to do two things. That's going to have a healthier environment around you, but it's going to ensure food security. That's going to ensure food sovereignty within your neighborhood, because believe it or not, food sovereignty is an issue planet-wise. It is not only isolated from Costa Rica, it's not only isolated from Latin American countries, it's everywhere where we have issues with our food. So the more edible things you can have in your neighborhood, that anybody walking around can eat a blueberry, or here in our country, a guava. People with hungry can go and get a guava, get a piece of sugar cane. That is amazing. That is amazing. So think about that and incorporate those native edible species into your gardens. And that's a good recommendation I can give.
Excellent. Awesome. Yeah. I'd love to second that with the old native plants. And shout out to my students who showed up today. We have a whole section on native plants and why they're important. So thank you for reiterating that, Mario.
There you go. And I would love to see some of you down here in Costa Rica. We can go around into the jungles. We can go around into our plantations. You get to see Copecuna, Doña Giselle, and all of the actores involved in this talk live and eat organic and healthy with love, and have a great time here with us.
Excellent. Mario, thank you so much. And it seems to be that that was the last question that we have in the chat or in the Q&A box. Mario,
Perfect.
Do you have anything else that you want to tell us about you, Thrive, regenerative agriculture, and yeah, I mean, even tacking on to that last question, what can we do here? Anything you got?
Yeah. No, lastly, I just want to encourage you to be to research a little more on everything you consume. We have to be picky, right? But picky in the sense of supporting responsible companies, whether you call them small or big, but there are good things happening out there. We have to research, we have to read, we have to understand what we are eating, we have to understand what we're doing, we have to understand where we're putting our money. The healthier we eat, the healthier we buy, the healthier we consume, the better response and faster response we're gonna have towards everything that's around us, including our planet, including our soil, including our biodiversity, and of course, including our daily life. So let's keep in touch. You have my email address. If you need any question, any answer from me, just send me an email. I'm open up. If any of you want to come to Costa Rica and want to contact me, for sure, don't doubt it, and I'll be happy to help out.
Oh, well, Mario, I can't thank you enough, but we have a question that has shown up in the Q&A box. Okay, so we have, what were you previously involved with before joining Thrive? Were you previously into farming?
Yes, so I worked in a few places. I work in an organization called OTS, Organization for Tropical Studies, and I was teaching a bio course on biodiversity of the Osa Peninsula there. I also work in the Osa Peninsula on a biological station, as a botanist / guide. In the biological station, it's called Campanario. George was there for a long period of time. And I also work in another biological station in the region of Tortuguero in the North Caribbean of Costa Rica, merely as a botanist there for about 7 years, doing plant collecting, learning about the ecology and the plants of that particular area. And that led us to the inventory of the plants of the North Caribbean of Costa Rica. We collected, I think, about 1,500 different species of plants, just lingering around the forest in that particular region of the country. It was a really nice time there.
Amazing. Thank you, Mario.
No problem.
All right. And yeah, again, so you can keep the questions coming, but that seems to be it for now. And I, of course, have thank you a million times, Mario, but I want to thank the McAuliffe Center, Irene Porro. I want to thank everybody who has helped us out. And I guess 2 plugs. So Mario is coming back. So I don't know how, but I wrangled him in to do another talk, the same thing, but in Spanish. So today at 4:30, Mario will be back with us via Zoom, and he's going to give the same talk, but it's going to be in Spanish. So please come back and join us then. So at 4:30, same idea as before, registration link through the McAuliffe Center, which has been put into the chat. And so I also want to make a plug for on Tuesday, April 27th. So speaking of food sovereignty, with the McAuliffe Center, which the biology department, the chemistry department, the food and nutrition club, the food and nutrition program, and the geology program, we have another great event through, thankfully, the McAuliffe Center. Soul Fire Farm is a great organization based out of New York, and their whole thing is about food injustice, food security, food insecurity, food apartheid. And we are going to have live in a similar manner Naima Penniman, who is one of the co-founders of Soul Fire Farm, on Tuesday, the 27th. We are going to have a keynote address starting at 4:30. Please sign up for that through the McAuliffe Center, Science on State Street. Again, we can't thank enough the McAuliffe Center for hosting these events, and that one specifically through a bunch of the departments here at Framingham State University. But again, thank you everybody for coming. We can hang out for a little bit longer, no big deal. We still have the allotted time if questions arise. But thank you again, Mario, the McAuliffe Center. Thank you, Irene Porro.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you later.
Yeah.